Hello, everyone. Hey, guys. Hello, everyone. So welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today on this session. Guys, my name is Julia. I am a success manager at VanHack, okay? And before we start, I would like to check if everything is okay. So can you hear me? Our connection is perfect. Could you say hi on the chat just to check if everything is okay, please? Let me see. Yes. So Fabian, hello, David, Tiago. Okay, all right. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So, guys, today is our sixth webinar, okay, during the Relocation Summit. And my recommendation for you is stay tuned, follow our agenda, because we are going to have more special webinars during the week. So today we have Stella Klein, okay, with one webinar called Mastering Your Job Interview. But in the afternoon, we are going to have another session about React.js. Tomorrow, we are going to have a hot topic talking about immigration, work visa. And on Wednesday, our last day, we are going to have more 2 sessions with our success case. Okay. Let me see. We have around 67 people join our session. So while we are waiting for more people to join, I would like to ask you 2 questions. Okay. So the first one, Stella and I, we are very curious about. We would like to know, where are you from? So please put on the chat, where are you from? In my case, just to introduce about myself, I was born in Brazil. I am Brazilian, but nowadays I live in Vancouver. Okay, Stella, our speaker, she's Brazilian as well, but nowadays she lives in France, and Stella already lived in different countries. And it's so cool. I don't know, Stella, if you can see here on the chat, but we have people from Brazil, India, Nigeria, Argentina. I saw, yes, I saw here on the chat people from Colombia. And one curiosity, guys, about VanHack is we value a lot diversity. So in our platform, in our community, we have people from around 165 different countries, okay? Yeah, it's super big, super diverse. We have 3, the largest communities that we have in VanHack. The first one is from India. The second one is Brazil, and the third one is Nigeria. And it's so cool. See now on the chat that we have people from Mexico. We have a lot of people from Mexico, Andres, Elvis, Venezuela. We also have a lot of candidates from Venezuela. So thank you so much, guys. Another question that I have for you is, Stella and I, we are curious about is to know who here on this webinar already had an international interview. It can be with a Canadian company or with a European company. So did you already have an international interview? Please say yes or no here on the chat. Let me see. I know we have a delay, so probably 10 or 20 seconds, but I'm gonna wait for your answer. Let me know if you already had an international interview. So Sumita, not yet. Some people are saying no, other people are saying yes. Okay, that's so nice, so nice.
Good.
Yeah, and guys, I think the webinar that we are gonna have today, it will be super valuable for you because Stella will share with us a lot of great tips, great content okay, about a selection process, job interview. And regardless, if you never applied, okay, if you never had an interview abroad, I am sure Stella will help you for your next interview. And also my recommendation is in VanHack, we have a lot of job opportunities. Okay, if you go to our event page, you are going to see a lot of events that already happened in 2019, but also we have a calendar for 2020, and every day we are posting new job opportunities. Keep your eyes open, okay, on VanHack platform. I know that I believe that we have now a lot of people online with us, so we are going to start our webinar. Guys, thank you so much for posting your answers here on the chat. Feel comfortable. If you have any questions, doubts, suggestions, okay, post here. Stella, we are going to have specific moments with Stella, where she is going to discuss about your questions, okay? So feel comfortable to post here on the chat. And I would like to say welcome, Stella. Thank you so much, okay, for accepting our invitation, and the stage is yours, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you, everybody who joined this webinar. I hope we're going to discuss useful things for you. Thank you, Julia De Favre, as well, for this invitation to join VanHack again in the summit. I'm really glad to be here. And the idea, so for this webinar, we are going to have around 40 minutes to talk. It's to discuss interviews. And I know that whenever we think about interviews, is a bit like this image here of dangerous, difficult waters, right? The journey is not easy. But the thing is that, in fact, we can change to this. It is possible. The best interviews ever are the ones in which we feel like we are already there, like we are discussing things about the company, projects, solutions, ideas, and it is so possible. And there are some tips or some things that we could do in order to have this calm waters inside during an interview. This is really something that is possible, okay? So I'm going to remove my image in order not to put any obstacles here, but during the moments of the Q&As, I appear again and we can discuss, okay? So very quickly, let me introduce myself for the ones who doesn't know me yet. My name is Stella Klein. Before I got certified as a coach, I worked as an executive in large international companies for more than 20 years. But one day I was in a coaching journey myself. I got a coach to help me out with a boss, a very difficult guy. And in fact, I saw the transformation in myself, and I got so enthusiastic about coaching that I decided to study, not at that time to become a coach, but to use that in my work as a branding executive. But at the end, I fell in love with the coaching methodology, really, and I decided to make a career transition for myself. So since 2014, I work exclusively as a coach. I work in 4 areas: executive coaching, the traditional executive coaching, the career coaching, which could be find a new job, getting a promotion, or defining a transition, a career transition. I don't like anymore what I do, but I'm not sure exactly what is going to be my next step. So we work with that. The third area of my work is expatriates and spouses. As Julia mentioned, I'm Brazilian. I lived in Italy. I'm in France since 2016. So having this international mobility, it's not something that easy. It's a wonderful experience, but sometimes it can be very hard, and the coaching methodology helps a lot. And the fourth and last area of my job is retirement coaching. So when I start my retirement, who will I be, right? How can I continue to feel useful and productive without the previous job that I had? So this is in summary, who am I? And the content of this webinar, it was prepared using my experience as a coach, what I see during the job that I do, but also I collect some of my memories from the time that I was either interviewed by someone or I was in the place of the interviewer as well, when I wanted to hire people to my staff, for example. So I put together all of that, and this is what I'm going to share with you today, okay? So feel free to prepare your questions, as Julia said, because we're going to have some moments for discussing your questions as well, okay? So whenever we go to an interview, even people who are very experienced, senior executives as well, it doesn't matter, right? The word interview is very scary, and sometimes we really feel like coming out of a war at the end. It is already difficult when we do an interview in our own language, right? And it is especially hard when we do that in another language. That becomes even harder. So, but there are two things, two concepts that from the start, they help a lot to making the stress go down. The first concept, and I've already mentioned it in a previous webinar, but I really would like to reinforce for those who have already seen that, and introduce this concept for the ones who have never heard about it. An interview is an exchange of offers, okay? And this change in mindset, it's very important if you really want to control your stress. And it is exactly what an interview is. Why it is an exchange of offers? Because you are presenting your profile, you are offering your services, you are talking about your qualification, and the company who is interviewing you, we always think, okay, I'm being judged, etc. But the fact is that the company itself also needs someone to solve their problems, offer some solutions, come up with ideas, etc. And they are presenting to you their company, their group, an organizational culture. They're going to offer a salary, they are going to offer benefits. So it is an exchange of offers. On the same level, if they can say, well, you know what, this profile of this person I'm interviewing, it does not quite match to what we want, but at the same time, you can also think, you know what, the salary can be good, can be interesting, but this kind of culture, it doesn't really match what I'm looking for. So if you think about it, and you feel yourself already in the same level of the interviewer in front of you, that really changes your mindset and makes you calm down. And so this first concept, it is very important. And there is a second concept that I wanted to share with you, which is this one. Sometimes you may feel like, you know what, I'm applying for a job in Canada, I'm applying for a job in Europe. People there are so smart, the countries are so economically stable. So if you have this kind of thoughts and you feel a little inferior about that, please don't, okay? And you know why? Because brains, smart brains, intelligent people, they are from everywhere. It really doesn't matter where you come from, okay? What is important in an interview and what is important in professional life is, what do you do with your skills? How do you develop yourself? How do you work? And what are the value that you bring to the company? Where do you come from? It really doesn't matter. Okay, so if you have in mind these two concepts, that an interview is an exchange of offers, and it really doesn't matter where do I come from, this is already a very good baseline to make you feel more calm, okay? So, going to the very title of this webinar, how can we master a job interview? There are only two things, and no news about this first comment here. Preparation and training, of course, okay, but and I remember when I was a student that teachers used to say, professors used to say, even the obvious things, they have to be mentioned time to time, right? So preparation and training are the very basic. But what is exactly preparation and training? And I'm sorry, because this is in French, but I loved this picture because it really explains what it is about. So, ce que l'on voit, it means what we see, and here, what we don't see. So whenever we think, okay, that person is so lucky, look at the job position that he got, that she got, look at the promotion, look how well she's paid, how well he's paid, etc. We forget about all of this here, right? Below the podium. There is a lot of failure, there is a lot of training, there is a lot of sweating, there is a lot of hard work. And preparation is really about that. So how can you prepare yourself, right? And our worst enemy, I always mention that, and it's so true. It is the lack of self-knowledge. If I do not know my power, my limitations, my strengths, my weaknesses, if I don't know that, I don't go too far. And there are four basic and important questions that are part of this process of self-knowledge when we're talking about job interviews. So, what do I really know, technically speaking? The very first question, what exactly do I really know? Second question, how can I show my soft skills? And please, guys, I know that most part of you, if not everybody here, is from technical areas, right? So don't think that you don't need to learn and show and practice and live soft skills. No, but I work during all my day only with computers. It is not true, because you have a boss. Probably sometime in your week you are going to deal with clients, or you are going to interact with colleagues. And so we are going to talk about soft skills. All behaviors, they are really important. And nowadays, there are not a single interview which doesn't touch point with soft skills. All interviewers, they love to make questions, to ask questions about soft skills. So this is so important. How do I show, how do I make the interviewer notice that I'm really good at soft skills? Third question, always important. Okay, how's my English? It's very simple. It's a very simple question, but we all should be very honest about that. And the last question, what helps me to calm down when I feel stressed? Because chances are that I will feel stressed. So if I know what helps me to come back to my balance and feel a little more comfortable, I need to really identify what it is and use it as soon as possible, that I feel something is not going on inside me. Okay, so let's go through this, and before going in a little deeper into each of these questions. Also, something that I've already mentioned, but it's so important. Never, ever pretend being someone you are not. This is not sustainable, okay? Perhaps if you say something that is not that true, you can impress someone during an interview, but then chances are that you are going to forget about that, or you're going to be placed in a situation in which that thing that is not quite true, this is going to be to put on risk. So it will be really a lack of time for you, for the interviewer, for the company. You may even jeopardize your whole career because something that you pretend you are and you are not. So this is very basic, okay? So the first question, what do I really know technically speaking? When I ask myself this question, what do I really want? What do I really need to identify? Okay, what is exactly my experience? What are the things that I've already done throughout the different jobs I've already had, or the kind of feedback that I received about the things that I did for the company that were very well. And in this sense, it is very important to have real examples to offer. So it's not to talk generally speaking about something. It's really to give real examples of what happened when you work in that project or when you did that specific activity, etc. It's also important to include numbers whenever possible. So how many projects you've already done, in terms of percentages, that project helped the company to achieve this or that position in the market. Of course, we're not going to mention confidential figures, right? But whenever possible, try to illustrate your talk with numbers. This is important. Acknowledge your achievements as well. Sometimes, for example, I work with coaches who have done many wonderful things in their careers, but it is like they have this voice in their heads that say, no, but you did that because you were paid to do that. It's not true, right? So really acknowledge what you have done. If you made wonderful things in your previous job or throughout your career, think about it and give it as an example of your experience. And again, never ever fake experience, okay? So, still on the same topic, once you made this list of your experience, of your of the things that you've done, etc., your achievements, it is important to transform that in a pitch worth listening. You have to tell about it in the sense that you create a compelling story, something that is attractive and something that the interviewer wants more detail about it. Of course, showing motivation while you speak as well. Imagine that you are in front of someone or through the telephone or through Skype. You have to show. We are going to talk about non-verbal communication. And I'm going to come back to this point. But show motivation about your achievements, about your experience. And so you have to show that you love what you do, even if it is the most technical, detailed thing that yourself, sometimes you may even feel it's not that interesting, a little bit boring, but show the passion you have, okay? Sorry. So, second question, how can I show my soft skills? The first question about this is, okay, what are soft skills? So this expression, soft skills, it comes from HR, and it has, in fact, it talks about all the behavioral competencies that we use in the workplace. So, for example, communication, leadership, teamwork, feedback. What else? Dealing with conflicts, presenting a project, negotiating. All of these are soft skills, okay? And again, it's not because you are a technical person, that you do not use soft skills. We all use that every day, and we all get evaluated about it in the job we do. So soft skills are what differentiates the adequate candidate from the ideal candidate. Whenever the interviewer start asking questions like, okay, tell me about a moment when you had to deal with a difficult colleague. What do you do when you have a very stressed client in front of you? How easy do you feel about negotiating deadlines? So all of these are questions, for example, that talk about soft skills. So the soft skills, they are inside any kind of job interviews to evaluate your behavior. So this is how interviewers, they try to assess your capability of working together in a job environment with different people, with people from different profiles. Okay, and the best way to show that you are well qualified, let's put it this way, with soft skills, is by giving real life examples. So when an interviewer comes and asks, okay, tell me about a difficult moment, how do you deal with failure? Instead, for example, instead of just saying, oh, okay, I think I deal quite well. No, well, in fact, I remember that there was a time when I was conducting a project. It did not went well. I felt very bad about it. But, and this is the kind of answer which they love, the interviewers, they love, is when you complete your answer, you're telling about something that was a bit out of what you intended to do, but you tell them what you learned from the situation. So yes, I was really sad about this, but at the end I learned that in fact I could use a lot more my skill of, I don't know, negotiation, coordination, acceptance, or whatever. And I'm really positive that if that happens again, I'll know exactly what to do. For example, okay. Again, the best way to discuss soft skills is really by giving real life examples. Okay. Third question: how's my English? So be very, very honest about your language level. And if you identify what needs to be improved, okay, be disciplined to improve it. How? Train. Nowadays, there are no excuses, right, for learning English or any other kinds of languages. You go through the internet, you have plenty of free courses, or you can watch movies, you have exercises, you can start reading articles or newspapers online. So there are groups in many towns. There are groups of study for free sometimes. So it is the key point here is the discipline, because sometimes we have a lot of good intention and we say, okay, today is Monday, so tomorrow I'm going to start studying an hour every day, and by Wednesday you've already not completing your own action plan, right? The thing that you propose yourself to do. So discipline is really key to do that. And one suggestion to help discipline is to think about the benefit you are going to get if you really improve your English. So, okay, if you really think, yes, if I'll be disciplined enough and I really do the exercises, or I really try to study the most that I can, I'll remember that by the time I get to the interview, it will be really, really useful for me. I will not get in trouble. I will not have problems in expressing myself. So try to think about the benefit from mastering English. That helps a lot if you feel like, oh no, study again. I'm not going to do that. It is just a suggestion, okay? So the last question from those four self-knowledge questions. What helps me to calm down when I feel stressed? So think about your past experiences for a while. What was the last time that you feel stressed? Were you able to recover fast from that? What helped you? If you don't come up with any ideas, discuss it with others. What do they do when they feel stress? And then you should try different techniques. For some people, they do long breaths, and that helps a lot. Very, very slowing down, okay? So a lot of people do some meditation before some situations. So right before you go to an interview, you can try to meditate. Some people mention that what helps them to calm down is to remember the good things they've already done. Yeah, in fact, I did pretty well in my last job, and I did this, and that. So remembering the achievements help. I've already heard people that, okay, I go in front of a mirror, and I shout a lot. That really helps me to get the right energy and to remove from my body the bad stress. So it is really important to try different techniques to check what really works very well with you. But remember what I say here: nothing comes down more than being prepared, right? So another important stuff when we are talking about stress is this little voice, and here I'm talking about one of the main parts of emotional intelligence, which is self-management. So there is this little voice it's always inside our heads, and sometimes this little voice they compliment us, right? They give us, wow, you did very well, Stella. That was a really good job. But a lot of times, this voice tries to demotivate us, right? And we don't notice, and that's the problem. So an exercise that I really suggest you to do is pay attention and make a list of this self-talk, this little voice inside your head. So when we are talking about job interviews, sometimes this little voice may say, well, I'm not smart enough. This interview is going to be really a mess. You know what? I'll never get this job. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Or I performed badly in my last interview, so it's going to be the same right now. It's worthless. Or I don't deserve this job. So really, after this webinar, try to make a list of the good things or the positive things that your internal voice tells you. So things like, well, you can do it. You go ahead and you're going to beat them. Well, you're so smart, everybody's going to like you. Oh, it doesn't matter. So try to identify what are the positive things that your voice keeps telling you from time to time, and try to use these things just before or during the interview. And at the same time, you make a second list of all the negative thoughts and messages that your inner voice tells you, okay? And whenever you identify that this negative voice is coming, you try to substitute it for a positive thought. Okay, this is a cool exercise to do, and believe me that it helps a lot, not only for job interviews, but in any aspect and in any situation of your life, okay? So these 4 preparation questions are about yourself, but what about the company? Of course, we have to do a preparation about the company as well. So sometimes the interviewer, they may ask you, okay, what do you know about us? Or what do you want to work? Why do you want to work for us? So studying your targets is really important. Study the company, check the newsroom. You know, in their websites, usually there is either press room or press releases or newsroom, because there you can have fresh information about what's going on in the company, and you can use that during the interview about a project or a new product launch or a new branch in a new country, for example. It doesn't matter. But if you mention during the interview something really new that's going on in the company, chances are that the interviewer is going to think, wow, this person is really interested. They are very updated about what happens here. So make a list of potential questions to ask. One of the worst things that may happen is when the interviewer asks you, okay, would you like to ask us something? And then either you say, no, thank you so much, or you say, what about my salary? So it is really important that you prepare some questions, and we are talking about that in a few minutes, that you prepare some questions to use, okay? You should adjust your presentation to the job description. So what does that mean? When a job description mention what are the requirements, the ideal candidate has this kind of profile, right? Sometimes we have this in the description of the job positions. So try to use the same examples, or try to use the words they are using, because then they are using in the job post, because then they are going to notice, oh yeah, in fact, this person has exactly the same profile that we're looking for. So you can use even the job description to select your examples, right? So when they mention that some qualifications or some experiences are important for the job, try to use this to create or to identify the examples of your own experience to show in your pitch. And be prepared to adapt your pitch to different profiles. Why do I say that? Because if you have in front of you someone from engineering, you can be more technical, you can give more technical details, etc. But if you have someone from marketing in front of you, probably they will not be that interested in many details, technically speaking. But if you ask questions about the market, sales, product positioning, branding, things like that, they notice that you are able to speak their language. If you have someone from HR as well, so you can ask questions about the organizational culture, for example, the performance evaluation. And if you have the CEO in front of you, then you have to be prepared to use a language of a senior executive, right? So talking about competitors, talking about company position in the market, talking about what you're going to do for the company, how you're going to help the company to the next level, etc. So try to adapt your pitch to the profile of the person in front of you. So here we have like 5 minutes of some questions. Julia, how do we do that?
Hey, Stella. Thank you so much for the first part of your webinar. Okay, we received some questions. Can I ask you the first question, Stella?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so Mohammed sent a question where he says, if you have a YouTube channel, okay, where you teach programming language, this is a nice channel to prove your technical skills to your future employer. What is your opinion about it?
Oh, well, you can use that as an example. That's for sure, right? And I'm assuming that you're going to provide the link, right? So the interviewer can take a look and really evaluate that as well. But yes, for sure.
Thank you, Stella. Another question, Stella, that pop up here on the channel is from Samuel. So one important skill that we need to show in a job interview is storytelling, right? So we receive a lot of questions and we are going to share the story of our professional background. So his question is it possible to create a story based on your professional experience?
Well, in fact, yes. Ideally, what you have to do is you think about your experience, right, and you identify the main the most important how do I say that, the most important facts or the most important achievements of your experience, and you create a pitch in which you present that in a logical way. So you start talking about when the beginning of your career, then the moves you made throughout your career, the experience. And something which is important is that this very first presentation or this very first introduction of your experience, you shouldn't last more than 2 minutes, because by doing so you leave an open window for the interviewer to get the whole picture, that what you are presenting, and ask you specific questions of specific parts that may interest them. So don't be too long, okay, but think about in a logical way, how, which, and usually it is chronological, so how do you explain your career path?
Thank you. Stella, Samuel, I think is the same person. He sent another question here on the chat, asking how can we get information from companies, Newsroom on the web when it's not constantly updated?
Yeah, that's interesting, and in fact, that happens a lot, right? So you have to check in different websites. So if the company website itself is not updated, chances are that you are going to find something in newspapers or in blogs, in business blogs. So I don't know. Try to Google the name of the company in different places, or talk about different people if they know the company, and if they know what is going on. Sometimes they do not update their websites, but they do update Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook page, a professional Facebook page if there is one. So try to check in different places in the web.
Great, Stella. One more question that we received is from Walter. Okay, so if you have any suggestion about how to answer questions that ask about a salary expectation for the candidate. So the candidate is in the first interview and the interviewer asks about their salary expectation. So do you have any recommendation about how to deal with this kind of question?
Ideally speaking, it is important to try to avoid answering this in the beginning of the sequence or the period of interviews, right? So one first idea to try to avoid the answer is explaining that in fact you would appreciate if they could give you an idea of what the salary is about, or the most important thing for you at this moment is not exactly the salary. You are more interested in this first interviews, to hear about the job description, the organizational culture of the company. You are more interested in studying all of that, and you are sure that they are going to offer you a decent salary in the same level of what the market offers. So you should try to avoid answering directly, okay, my number is this.
Perfect. Stella, do we have time to ask you more two questions? It is
Yeah.
okay for you? Okay, perfect. Another great question that we received is, Stella, do you know the common mistakes that usually candidates make when they write their CV? And also, Stella, I would like to complement this question, if you could tell us the common mistakes that candidates usually make in a job interview as well.
Well, I think that could be a subject of another webinar. In fact, if I can be very objective and quick about this, I would say that people do not value themselves a lot of times. So whenever you make a CV that is too general and you include expressions like "I'm a good team player," "I'm a very patient people," "I'm a perfectionist," things like that. You know, what is a CV? A CV and a letter of presentation, and even the interviewer. But if you think about these two documents first, these are documents that the goal is to attract the interviewer to get you a time for an interview, right? So you have to show what you've done in a very objective way, what you've done, what you're good at, and what kind of problems you can solve in the company. So the main mistake that a candidate does is not to show this very clearly. And if I can mention others, are the lack of figures whenever it's possible to include figures. So again, you are too generic. Figures help to make things more concrete. Grammar or vocabulary or wording, spelling, misspelling, the errors in grammar in English or in any kind of language, right? And when you disclose information which is confidential, especially in interviews, if someone asks, okay, what is the budget, or what was the income of the company, and this, if you know that these figures, they are confidential, and you disclose them, this is a red light. They're going to say, uh-oh, if this person is talking about this, if they work for us, they're going to do the same. So I think these mistakes, they're very bad.
Great, Stella. And the last question that we have is from Tiago. Okay, so he would like to know if it is okay during a job interview. Imagine that Tiago is applying for a job for a Canadian or European company, for example, if it's okay to ask questions for the interviewer about the new country.
Yes, it is, but not the very first questions. I mean, there is a logical when you ask questions. So ask questions about the role of the job position, the culture of the company itself, the market, and then you're going to ask like personal questions, in the sense, okay, how is the country, later even you may mention the benefits, but not in the very first interview. The very first interview, or the first two interviews, they are to discuss the position, the company, your solutions, what you have to offer, is this kind of things. Okay?
Perfect, Stella. Thank you.
So let's move.
Yes, let's move.
Okay, thank you everybody for the questions. We are going to have a second time for new ones. Okay, thank you, Julia. So let's move. So we talked about preparation, right? So you prepare yourself, you study the company, and then what you have to do? Training. So what about training? You call a friend to fake an interview, right? As if your friend will be the interviewer. You can try your pitch in front of a mirror. You can ask for professional help at VanHack with a coach. It doesn't matter, but it is really really important to train. And then it comes the moment of the interview itself. So you remember that I mentioned about body language, right? It's very important because in fact there are some researches that show that only 17% of what someone takes from a conversation are the words. All the rest are body language, your mood, the things that happen in the scenario, etc. So during interviews, what is important? Of course, for the firm handshake, always maintain eye contact. It is okay that when you are thinking, you look on the top right or on the top left. So from time to time, you do not keep eye contact, right? Because you're thinking and no problem about it. But as soon as possible, come back to the interviewer and keep the eye contact. And it is also important to have eyes that smile. And if you are on the phone, for example, you're not seeing the other person, try to speak with a smile because people notice that. You sit up straight if you are in front of the person, even online, right? So pay attention to your posture is so important. Moving your hands, it is also interesting because it gives you it gives a different dynamic to the interview. So even online interviews, okay, you can nod as a sign of agreement or as a sign that you're understanding what the person is saying. And pay attention to your tone of voice as well. Do not speak too fast. Do not speak too slow. Pay attention if you are not shouting or if you're speaking with a very low tone of voice. Especially if we're talking about internet, right? Because sometimes the speed is not that okay, the connection is not that good. So really pay attention to this, and remember that you can say something, but your expression may tell a different thing. That's why I'm saying here, body language is often more accurate than words. Sometimes you are stating something, you are talking about an experience, but if you question yourself in this experience, probably that will be showing in your face. So really pay attention to that. I put it here. Do it also before and after the interviews. What do I mean? It's not. Let's imagine that you received a call from an assistant saying, "Okay, I'm calling you because I'd like to set the interview with the HR responsible for 2 weeks from now." So think about all of this with everybody that you meet or with whom you talk to in the company. Okay, so think about it before and later. During the interviews, so it doesn't matter if it is online or in the presence of someone. Pay attention to your clothes for sure. Sometimes people forget about the shoes. It is so important. Again, greet everyone that meets you on the phone or not. If you are there in the office, wait to sit when you are told so. Don't sit before the interviewer. And when they ask you, tell me about you, as I was just mentioning some minutes ago, do not give a very long answer. Try to summarize that 2 minutes maximum. Also, and again, we talk about emotional intelligence. There is a huge difference between hearing, which is physical, and listening, which is really paying attention. So active listening is a very important soft skill because it helps in the process of empathy. So I'm really paying attention to what you're saying. And by doing that, I demonstrate that I really value, and more than that, I can use your comment in my answers as well. So it is very important. Try not to, as you are listening to a question, try not to, okay, I'm already anticipating the next question, I'm going to prepare myself, etc. No. Really, fully listen to what the person in front of you is saying. That's really important. And of course, something which is really important in our case here, as we are talking about international mobility, you have to show the motivation for the company and not for leaving your country. And that makes a lot of difference, right? So you are applying for a job in that specific company, not because you want to leave your country, but you want that specific company. And it really needs to pass this message to the interviewer. And of course, you're not going to talk about it, but you have to show your motivation towards their company, and never ever try to run away from difficult questions or tough conversations. So if for example, if happened to you that you were fired from a company and the person says, okay, what happened when you left the company? So you explained what happened, and remember the thing about the positive ending of each answer. You end up by saying, well, and I learned this, and now I see that it was important because it helped me to improve this and that in myself. That was a tough experience, but now I can face new challenges because of that. So you always include something positive in your tough conversations. As I mentioned before, it comes the time when someone asks, okay, would you like to ask something? So it is always important to try to ask something about the job position in terms of the function itself, the activities, and the company. So here are a couple of examples of potential questions. So how the company position itself in the market? What do you have better than your competitors? What are the solutions you most expect from me if I am approved? Why have you decided for an external recruitment? For example, if you have someone from HR in front of you. A very personal question, which is quite nice. What do you personally like about this company? What is the career projection for this position? So, as I said before, and I repeat it because it is important, try to avoid personal questions for yourself. So the kind of question like, what is the benefits? What is going to be my salary? How fast could I evolve or progress in this position? So try to avoid these questions, okay? Because this information will come up anyway, sooner or later. But in the very beginning, it's really nice if you show motivation for the company, for the position, and then we check the other things. And you always should remember to thank the interviewer for the time and attention. That's really important. Okay. So we come to the end of the webinar. Let's discuss other questions you may have.
Yes, Stella, we received another question, okay, where somebody asked, according to your opinion, it's recommended to add a cover letter in a CV when you apply for a job online? What is your
To,
opinion about it?
is it recommended to add?
Yeah, exactly, a cover letter.
Always, please, always, 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 okay? Because it is in the cover letter that you are going to explain your motivation. And in fact, there is a kind of structure for cover letters. It's not mandatory, but it is just an idea. You start the covering letter, say, okay, dear sir, madam, I am interested in this position. And then there is a structure, you, I, and us, in call to action. What does that mean? You means you talk about the company. You are a company with a vision towards this market X. Or I noticed that you are very that you are very you have values towards multicultural employees, or you are a top technology company that is always interested in innovative people, etc. Something like that. Then you talk about you. In this sense, I am a professional with X years of experience in these fields of tal, and I have a very good experience in this and that activity. I speak two languages, whatever, and the part us. And in this sense, I believe with this qualification or this specific skill X, I can contribute to your projects. I can be very useful to the kind of solution you are looking at this moment in the market. So you describe this is the sort of a structure for the motivation of the presentation letter, and at the end a call to action. Please, I would appreciate if you could evaluate my profile and if you could offer me 30 minutes so I can detail it a little more. But it's really important to have a cover letter, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Stella. One more question that we received. Okay, what are the top soft skills that companies are looking for in an IT professional? So, what do you would say about it?
Well, in fact, there are some. The most basic one is communication. And why do I say that? Is because usually in the IT world, people deal a lot of computers. Sometimes it is a very solitary job, and people don't know how to express themselves when they get together and work as a team. So communication, meaning what do I need from you to help me in this job? Being very clear about deadlines, or about, okay, who is responsible for what. So this communication is very important. The second thing related to that is teamwork. So, okay, even if I do a lot of solitary job, the moment I am in a team, I respect other people's opinion. I know that this part of the job is responsible for that person. The other part is under my responsibility. So respect these different positions is also important. So communication and teamwork are the main two ones in IT. But of course, negotiation as well, deadlines, dealing with customers, it is also important. Presenting skills, like talking about a project, presenting a proposition, a proposal. There are a couple of others which are also very important.
Perfect. Another soft skill that we commonly see in our jobs is problem solving. So, guys, so always try to present communication skill, team player, but also problem solving is very important as well. Stella, the last question that we received is from Mohammed. Okay, it's about CV. So his question is, should I include all the professional experience that I have in my CV, even if some experience are not related to tech industry tech environment. What is your opinion about it?
Well, it's important that you try to put together. This is an equation, right? In creating a CV is an equation, and the elements of this equation are the length of the CV, because if you write too much, the person is not going to take time to read through all of that. So you have to be concise. But at the same time, if you have important achievements, it is important that they are there. So in this equation, you shouldn't just because you did something and it worked well, it has to be in the CV. No, it is important that it is somehow linked to the area that you are looking for. And one of the things that you could do, which is in fact the best thing, would be to have different CVs. So if you are applying for a specific job frame, you can use one CV with all of the experiences that are related to that job reference. And on the opposite side, if you are also applying for different jobs, positions with different qualifications and skills, you have a different CV. So that avoids you to have long CVs that no one is going to read. Okay.
Okay, perfect, Stella. Thank you so much. I think we covered all the questions. Okay. So if you want to move to the next slide, feel free to do it.
Oh, well, in fact, we have just ended, right? So I really would like to thank you so much. I hope that the things that we discussed here, they were useful to everybody. I wish you a lot of success in your interviews. Please don't forget to think about this path, okay? Preparation. Think about what happens, what helps you to feel less stressed. Make the list about the internal, the inner talk, the inner voice that you have. So preparation is really, really important. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Stella. Stella, I'm gonna move to the next slide, okay?
Okay.
So, Stella, thank you so much again for our partnership. Okay, great content that you shared today. I was checking the chat and we received a lot of positive messages, okay, about your webinar. So it's always a pleasure to have you with our community. And guys, as Stella highlighted during the webinar, so preparation and training are key steps if you want to succeed in a job interview. And saying that, I would like to talk to you in the last minutes of our webinar about our premium promotion. Okay, so now it's Black Friday week. We are having the best deal if you want to join our premium community. Here in VanHack, we have premium as our educational pillar. And we strongly believe that if you want a job, an international job, you need to have a strong resume. You need to practice interview questions, have a professional body language, have an amazing English, and also be confident. Okay, so all these important things that I mentioned, we offer in our premium service. So don't miss this opportunity. In 2020, we are going to have here in VanHack a lot of job opportunities for you. Okay, in the first semester of the next year, we are going to have around 7 LEAP events, okay, 6 events here in Canada, 1 in Germany, in Berlin. In March of the next year, we are going to have a Colombia recruiting mission, and every day we are posting new job positions here in VanHack. So if you want to be the next person to get a job, join our community. In 2019, we had more than 90 premium members that got hired. So if you want to be the next, as I said, be part of our premium community. Thank you again. Have an amazing week. And thank you again, Stella.
Thank
okay?
You.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.